our Monaco Grand Prix.
F1 driver ratings.
That was a weird pronunciation.
Yes, right there.
Oh, jolly good. I've got a full house.
I'm bankrupt.
Before we get into it, we have an exciting announcement. The P1 Live Show is back and bigger than ever before. A world tour. That's right, Tommy, we can call it a world tour.
We're absolutely calling it a world tour. We're going to 6 different countries, so we have to name it a world tour. It had to be done. It makes us sound like rock stars, so we got to do it.
Now, let's get into the dates. Amsterdam, August the 28th. Seattle, November the 4th. San Francisco, November the 5th. Denver, November the 10th. Dallas, November the 11th. Toronto, November the 13th. Chicago, November the 14th. New York, November the 16th. Dublin, December the 10th. Manchester, December the 14th. Glasgow, December the 15th. And finishing in London on December the 16th. Now, we are calling this one the Delusion Tour with a fresh new format. We are going to be exploring what it's like to be a Formula One fan in 2025 with games, audience participation, and of course, plenty of discussion around this season. It's going to be so fun!
It's going to be so good. Got so many good ideas. We're going to have a lot of fun. Love seeing everyone, and everyone gets involved. It's always such a good night. So cannot wait to go to new places as well. Very exciting.
Well, where can you get your tickets? If you are a Patreon member, Wednesday, 10 a.m. UK time, patreon.com/MattP1Tommy. There will be an announcement where you can buy tickets. Early access. And for general sale, it's Friday, 10 a.m. UK time. Just check our socials and we will do an announcement and put the link there. Tommy, how are you, mate?
I am all right. I'm still feeling a little bit sad about Monaco. And actually, no, don't worry. I just want to read one thing before we move on from the depression, because this really made me laugh. It's a comment that someone wrote on our race review, and it's from Nadir. It says, the 5 stages of Monaco. 1, denial. No, Monaco is a great track and there's actually no problem with it. 2, arguing. How dare you suggest Monaco should be off the calendar? It's special. It has to stay. 3, bargaining. No, Monaco quali is great. Okay, the races are boring, but we'll force a mandatory 2-stop. It will be fun. 4, depression. Yeah, Monaco races are boring, but how can we lose this track? We can't. Can we afford it? It's too hard. 5, acceptance. Monaco is not suitable for F1 anymore.
That's you.
That is me. That is literally me. You. I have had the 5 stages of Monaco throughout the last couple of years. So my
stages of Monaco have been very different, where I've been like, whatever, we could move on from it, to actually becoming the defender of Monaco now. And you're the one that's, you'll be back. Give it till next year. You'll be
FP1,
like
I'll be there
me
no
and my
what.
Ferrari hopium. It's
true.
It's you in Monaco. You'll be straight back. Anyway, let's dive straight into these driver ratings and begin with Gabriele Bortoleto. Started the race in 16th, finished 14th. Now, Gabriele Bortoleto, you know what? I'm already struggling, and it's the first driver. 6 out of 10 for Gabriele Bortoleto, because 1, we saw an overtake that Kimi Antonelli did not enjoy, so shoved him in the wall. I'm kidding. But then even after that, Bortoleto was in the wall and still managed to beat his teammate in the end with the aggressive strategy, obviously, with the lap 1 pitting, similar to Tsunoda, Gasly and Behrman. But
3 stops as well. Look,
I don't mind it. So I've gone for a 6 out of 10 for Bortoleto.
I've also gone for a 6 out of 10 for Bortoleto. He was, like you say, he was racing the Mercedes at the start, what might have been, and I wouldn't blame him too much. I know some people said that maybe he could have been a bit more aware of Antonelli, but you kind of don't expect that move. But I wouldn't put too much blame on him, because it's just the nature of Monaco. The barrier kind of sticks out massively at that point. Antonelli had the right to go for the move, but the nature of Monaco means it's very hard to get 2 cars, particularly 2 giant Formula One cars around that corner, and he went straight in the wall. But then somehow managed to recover thanks to him getting his pit stops in kind of early, and then as the chaos unfolded, he just moved his way up.
He certainly did. The fans gave him a 5 out of 10. Nico Hülkenberg started the race in 13th, finished 16th.
I have gone for a 6 as well for Nico Hülkenberg. Good qualifying, despite the machinery he's got. and kind of fell back during the race. Didn't work for him in the lottery chaos of Monaco and being held up. But I don't think it's a kind of poor performance, and I think it's a bit better than just straight down the middle. So I've gone for a 6.
I've also gone for a 6 because we are, usually we do a little bit of a nod to qualifying. I think it's a sort of medium to large size nod this time because Monaco is qualifying for a lot of these drivers. So yeah, it's a 6 out of 10 because 13th is a decent starting position. And yeah, as you say, it's perfectly described that it was a lottery. It was whether or not you got caught behind the train or not, Hulkenberg. And this is exactly what Sauber, I think, did correctly. They did 2 different strategies with their 2 drivers. They didn't do a Mercedes and just stick with the same thing for both of them. So yeah, they tried something, it didn't work out. But yes, it's a 6 for me. The fans gave him a 5. Alex Albon started the race in 10th, finished 9th. It's going to be an 8 out of 10 for Alex Albon. A decent qualifying, so that put him in a great spot to be able to actually do something in the race, and very much helped that Carlos Sainz started directly behind him as well to pull off one of the strangest and probably the most anger sort of inducing thing for the fans was the fact that they were able to cook up. So not only, I was reading, Tommy, not only did Carlos Sainz have no stops, but Albon was also able to cook up stops with the help of his teammate as well. So they literally... They chefed up 2 stops between them, 4 stops in total. So yeah, it was a perfectly executed strategy. It was terrible to watch, as we know, but it was all they could really do. Of course, they still got out-qualified by the likes of the Racing Bulls and Ocon, etc., but it's still a strong points finish from Albon, so it's an 8.
I've gone for a 7 for Alex Albon. I think the Williams is a good car now and better than the RBs and the Hasses, so to finish behind those is maybe a little bit disappointing. I think there was more to be had in qualifying. He looked really, really quick. I think both Williams under-delivered because I think they had a very quick car around Monaco. And I look at the cars ahead of them, and I think they are the best of the midfield now. Still a good performance. And
is it
Albon,
under-delivered or is it a good performance, Tommy? Because that's 2 completely different. That's a 3 out of 10.
It's a decent performance. But I think there's definitely some left on the table.
Fair enough. The fans gave Albon an 8. Carlos Sainz started the race in 11th, finished 10th.
I've gone for a 7 for Carlos Sainz as well. I think that not much to split between the Williams. Obviously, they raced together the whole race and did the whole switch. But basically, copy and paste what I said about Albon, that I think there was more potential in the Williams than a P10. Particularly when one of the drivers ahead of them retired, which helped them get into the points as well. So still decent from the Williams, but I can't go higher than 7s for both of them.
I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Carlos Sainz. The reason I've changed, or it's been different between the 2 teammates, is that he was quite a bit slower than Albon in qualifying. I believe it was a 6/10 gap in Q2, which is pretty massive. And I think Albon, for sure, didn't qualify as well as he could have in Q3. But Albon has been the quicker driver this weekend, so that's why it's close. I could have given them both the same grade, but I just want to sort of note that Albon was a bit quicker in qualifying. The fans gave him a 7. Isack Hadjar started the race in 5th, finished 6th. It's 5 out of 10. It's disgusting now.
Should have done more.
It's a 10. It's a 10 for Hadjar. I think this is arguably, as much as the race was shocking, and we don't actually get to see much from a perspective of overtake and sort of overtaking talent and things like that. I think this is one of the best performances from Hadjar to rock up to Monaco of all places. Yeah, look, we're talking about this. Started 5th, finished 6th. He crashed twice in practice, and we're thinking this is going to be a weekend that could be quite difficult for him. Is he going to overpush, make mistakes? But when it came to the competitive sessions, he has got absolutely everything out of that car. And it's massively impressive for Hadjar around one of the trickiest tracks on the calendar to perform like this as a rookie. So This is more obviously towards qualifying, because in the race, was anyone really pushing at any point? But in qualifying, to get there as well is phenomenal. And despite the crashes, I didn't think I was going to be giving him a 10, but here we are.
I've gone for a 10 for Hadjar. Absolutely sensational performance this weekend. He's kind of had a really great result coming, and you just feel like it just needed to come together in the race. And thankfully, after a good qualifying, you can't overtake. So it certainly helped him. And of course, he had his teammate backing up the field to help out. But it was all done in qualifying. Absolutely sensational to start P5, qualify P6. And yeah, amazing from Hadjar. He's now got more points than Tsunoda and Lawson combined, which is quite an insane thing to think about this stage of the season. And pray that he doesn't get promoted to Red Bull and ruin his career.
Bro. Don't do it.
Because he's very, very impressive and a great talent. And I will admit that it's probably the rookie that I knew the least about, and I think had the least hype going into the season. And we were unsure, maybe wrongly, kind of felt like he was just the next in line to Red.
I think that's probably doing, if I'm being completely honest with
you. Sorry, yeah, I forgot about doing.
Even Bortoleto as well probably had less hype, I'd say, than Hadjar, just purely from the
I think more because Bortoleto won the championship, so I knew more about what he could do, whereas Hadjar, yeah, he was in that title fight, but maybe some thought it was just kind of like, well, he's the next Red Bull in line. I don't think many people expected him to impress as much as he has done, so yeah, really impressed with Hadjar.
Lovely stuff. The fans gave Isack a 10. Liam Lawson started the race 9th, finished 8th.
Oh, I have gone for a 9. I'll go for a 9 for Lawson. It's very close between an 8 and a 9. Left some on the table in qualifying. But I'll go for a 9 because he played the team game even though it wasn't pretty and delivered good points. No, I'm not. I'm going for an 8 because he finished behind Ocon. 8. It's an 8 for Lawson.
I was going to say, my guy Tommy feeling generous today. I have also gone for an 8 out of 10 for Lawson. Starting 4 places behind his teammate. I think it was 3 places back in qualifying, wasn't it? Because Hamilton got his 3-place grid penalty. But Lawson then played the team game. But sadly for him, he's in that situation. Now, he's the second driver in that particular race, and he had to slot in and do the blocking. So you couldn't really see the full potential, and could you for many of the drivers? Not really. But yeah, I don't think I can give him any higher than an 8, so I'm not going to.
Do you think it's crazy that Lawson didn't end up like 17th after what he did during the race, by the way?
I think Williams essentially gave Lawson this P8, because without that, I think he would have struggled. Either or, he managed to make it work, and Williams were a helping hand. So yes, the fans gave him an 8. Ollie Behrman started the race from 20th after getting a 10-place grid penalty, and then finished the race in 12th. I am going to give Oliver Behrman a 7 out of 10. I like the fact he went aggressive. I feel slightly sort of sorry for him that he got the penalty. I still think it was worthy. I still think it was deserving. It was just kind of wrong place, wrong time, and reacting probably 2 seconds too late, which gave him that grid penalty. But even then, he didn't qualify particularly well. But to gain positions around Monaco, you gotta say, well done, sir, because everyone else we are judging on qualifying because they've been stuck in traffic. But to finish 12th, I know he didn't score any points, but I think that, and he said it himself, that he thinks they did the maximum they could from where they started. So I'm giving them a 7.
I have gone for...
You were going to go for a 6, but you've heard my...
No, I'm actually between a 5 and 6. I don't agree with your argument at all, actually.
Oh, okay. All right, sorry. Cook me then, please. No, put me on the barbecue.
I'll go for a 6. Interestingly, an interesting note about Ollie Behrman was that he was actually up on Ocon in Q1, but would have knocked him out. And obviously, because he had the penalty, he bailed out, which was a good choice from Haas, of course, because it meant because where Ocon ended up qualifying, imagine would have eliminated him, and thought about the team there, which is very good. I personally am a bit more critical of the penalty because I think he took the law into his own hands and was like, well, I'm going to speed round then and race back to the pits and then argue it afterwards. It is kind of a close run thing slightly, but I'm not as sympathetic as you. And yeah, I like that he went aggressive. Don't get me wrong. I wish more drivers had done it, and it's maybe a bit of a lesson to Mercedes, that maybe if you'd gone a bit more aggressive and done something crazy, because those were the drivers that actually moved up. But it's still a 6 for Ollie Behrman.
Okie dokie, the fans gave Ollie a 6 as well. Esteban Ocon started racing 8th, finished 7th.
It's a 10 for Esteban Ocon. Another fantastic performance in a Haas that only ever seems to finish 8th or last this season. And Ocon, correct me if I'm wrong, is sitting very pretty in the championship standings at the moment. Yes, he is 9th, which is quite insane to think that Haas look woeful in a good amount of the races. But he picks up big points when he has a good performance. It seems to be like a P8 or a really good result. I think China was quite similar. So yeah, very, very impressive result.
I've gone for a 10 as well for Ocon. I don't think he could have done a huge amount more to have put that Haas in a place that I don't particularly rank the Haas in a similar realm as the Racing Bulls. I think they are slightly behind. But yeah, just a brilliant race. Sort of navigated the Monaco mandatory 2-stop well and scored some brilliant points. So I've also gone for a 10. The fans have gone for a 9. They're not happy in the slightest.
P7 and a half.
Q3
should have done better.
And then a P7 is wild. Maybe it's because Hadjar finished ahead of him, but I disagree. Franco Colapinto started the race in 18th, finished 13th. I like it when they gain positions from where they started around Monaco. So I'm going for a 6 for Franco. A very anonymous race. Started on the hard tyres, pitted on lap 13, then again on lap 26. He reckons that he switched a little bit too early and was very much in it to help Pierre, but Pierre was out after mounting Tsunoda. So yeah, it's a slightly better than 5 out of 10 for me. So that's why I've gone for a 6.
I've gone for a 5 for Franco Colapinto. It's not a bad result considering. I think his result flatters the pace that he had. But then, of course, it's Monaco.
Oh, he's showing the pace, bro.
Slowly. Well, exactly. I meant more throughout the weekend. Obviously, he looked slow and he was struggling a lot. And I think Franco is looking forward to getting on a more normal track now, because to be thrown into Imola and Monaco, I think he'll just count his luck that he avoided an incident and a crash, unlike his teammate. Imagine if that had been Colapinto. And actually, he almost got speared into by Gasly as well in that incident, but thankfully avoided it. But just straight down the middle.
The fans gave Franco a 5. Pierre Gasly started the race in 17th, did not finish.
I've gone for a 2 out of 10 for Pierre Gasly, as your eyes light up. Qualified not very well, and he's the only driver that crashed out the race. So I've got to, put some blame on him for that because, of course, slammed into the back of Tsunoda. No other driver crashed out of the Monaco Grand Prix apart from Gasly, so I have to grade him very heavily on that one.
Interesting. Okay, so I have gone for a 4 out of 10 for Pierre Gasly. Poor qualifying, but the Alpine were literally nowhere. So I'm not going to be too harsh on that side of things. And then when it comes to the Tsunoda crash, it definitely is more so Gasly's fault. He said after the race he didn't expect Yuki to move in the braking out the tunnel. He made a mistake, and the corner before he was very close, and then every lap he was braking on the right. And the lap where they crashed, he started braking on the left and then went back over to the normal line.
I think there's a lot of confusion that Gasly's brakes failed and he went into the back of Tsunoda, but he was saying his brakes weren't working because he had no tyre. Because he literally didn't have a front of his car.
Yeah, how do you sit on that incident then, Tommy? Because obviously you've given him a 2, so do you fully blame Gasly?
It's his fault because he crashed into the back of Gasly, yeah. And
into the back of Tsunoda.
Sorry?
You said
into the back of
Gasly
into the back, and he's also very fortunate not to wipe out his teammate as well. But yeah, it's his fault. And when I look at the grades and the results at the end, how is he not like one of, if not the worst driver, because he crashed out the Monaco Grand Prix and it was his fault?
3 out of 10. All right, okay, all right, Tommy, stop, get off my back. You know what I'm saying? It's like Gasly and Tsunoda right now. Yeah, okay, 3 out of 10 I think is fairer. So amend my grade to a 3. The fans They've given a 5. They've given a 5 to Pierre
that
Gasly.
Performance from Pierre.
Yeah, they're like, great performance. Let's give him the same.
The way he navigated back to the pits with no brakes was impressive.
Was naughty, and he got a reprimand
very
for
naughty,
it as well.
yeah, I'm not surprised.
Moving on now to Lance Stroll. Started the race in 19th, was penalised 1 position for causing a collision with Charles Leclerc in practice, then another 3 for impeding during qualifying. Lancey boy, what are we going to go with here? I'm going with a 3 out of 10 for Lance Stroll because, well, he caused a crash in practice by being quite literally blind. And then impeding in qualifying was his fault.
But also being blind.
Yep. And then in the race, may I say, he produced the best overtake of the Grand Prix on a Sauber out the tunnel. Well done, Lance. However, you were battling the Sauber, whilst your teammate is, of course, all the way up in the points before his engine got cooked. So it's a very poor weekend for Lance, and plenty of things to downgrade him on. And yeah, that's why I've gone for a 3.
I have gone for a 3. I'll go for a 3 just because of that worldy move. It's between it's between a 2 and a 3, because you're qualifying really poorly anyway. When Fernando Alonso has qualified 6th, he's qualified 19th, and you're lucky you're 19th because you've also got 4 places worth of penalties for 2 separate incidents. You crashed into someone in practice. The move is absolutely incredible. So well done, you've not got a 1. But it was really poor from Lance to qualify that low down. You can't be qualifying that low in Monaco, but then had he qualified a whopping 15th, he also would have been 19th. But yeah, it's a poor weekend from Lance, and let down by qualifying, which has been his Achilles heel his whole career, of course.
What do you mean, Tommy? He's a great qualifier. He had that 1 pole at Turkey.
Oh, yes, of course.
Sorry, I just wanted to remind you because I know there's someone writing that comment right now. The
1 in 100. Something
the fans gave Lance Stroll a 3. Fernando Alonso started the race in 6th and did not finish.
I've gone for a 9 for Fernando Alonso. He's on for an amazing result. Qualifying 6th when your teammate is 19th. He's put an amazing performance in qualifying. He was running well at the front. And he would have bagged some very, very delicious points, which is
delicious.
But instead he's not allowed any, as we have seen this year, and the memes continue about him being terrible, even though it's not the case. And just gutted for him because he was on for a very good result there, and drove a fantastic race again, and a even better qualifying, and that's where the race is done, really, isn't it? Qualifying.
It's where it's won or lost, as I full well know as a Charles Leclerc fan. I have gone for a 9 as well for Fernando. I think you heard it after qualifying. He loves this place, and he was so delighted with where he'd put the car, and he was, as you say, absolutely on for a haul of points. At one point, I was quite sort of shocked by his team radio when they told him to push, and it genuinely sounded like he was sort of screaming down the microphone about how he can't push, and it was quite a strange team radio. And he was actually more aggrieved then than he was when he actually retired, which was interesting. But this car is rubbish, but he's able to show around a driver's track just how much performance he still has as the oldest man on the grid. The fans gave him an 8. Kimi Antonelli started the race in 15th, finished 18th. It's going to be a 3 out of 10 for Kimi Antonelli because he crashed in qualifying and then did the worst strategy of all time, which of course is partly Mercedes' fault, but also, come on guys, Russell as well. Like, what are we doing here? Corner cut 40 laps earlier. We're maybe on for something, but no, a really poor weekend just for Mercedes as a whole. But Kimi, as soon as he heard that Tom Bellingham had predicted him to win, he decided, you know what, I will finish literally last.
And he's the first driver to finish a race 3 laps down since Mazepin. That's quite the achievement.
3 laps down, Tommy. Lord. But yeah, it's a 3 out of 10.
I've gone for a 2 out of 10 for Kimi Antonelli.
Wow. Your 2 is my 3 this weekend.
Yeah, it seems. It's. I don't think he had great pace anyway. He looked like he was struggling. The Mercedes did not look good around here, has to be said. But George, he delivered when he could, and his car wasn't breaking down, and showed there was pace in that car. And I think he would have done a lot better in qualifying, George. But when you crash in qualifying, I think he's in a weird way fortunate that he'd actually made it through. But even before, as he'd crashed, he was 4/10 off. I think the 3 laps down is exaggerated because Mercedes just decided not to pit.
Well, and then they used Antonelli to get Russell a gap. So after the pain, he then drove really slowly once more to get Russell the gap for his teammate to finish 11th. It was just
Now you
disaster.
decide to play the team game when it's too late, and why they didn't split the strategy again, I will just think it's just so ridiculous.
The fans gave Antonelli a 3. George Russell started the race in 14th, finished 11th.
Oh, probably the most difficult driver, I'd say, on the whole grid. It's a 6 out of 10 for George. It was between a 6 and... he's really difficult because he's 14th on the grid because his car broke down. He was 5th in Q1. Let's not pretend that George qualified 14th. He did, but it wasn't his fault, basically.
I know, but you also can't grade on ifs, buts, and maybes. You've got to go with absolutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you can't penalise a driver because his car broke down compared to his teammate that crashed in the wall.
But 6 leans to kind of good when the reality is his race was literally stuck behind a car for the entirety of it, and his qualifying was you couldn't see it.
There's absolutely no way George is not being in that kind of top at least 8, and he's ahead of Lawson, and then it's a completely different race for him. And he still finished 11th. Anyway, which was close to a point. So it's not a bad weekend for George. I think it's really unfair to give him like a 4 or something, or something like that, or a 5.
I'm giving him a 5.
I know you would.
Oh dear, I love how heated this gets with driver ratings. It's literally one point difference. But no, I think it's a bog standard 5 for George. Like, qualifying didn't work out the way he wanted. I'm not going to downgrade him for the fact that he couldn't get a lap in, but also I can't say that he's going to be somewhere that he wasn't. So that's why I'm going down the middle of the road as a 5. And then, for the race, I'm a little bit disappointed to see that there wasn't at least an attempt at something different. But yeah, I think it's an anonymous weekend, isn't it? He hasn't scored a point, so I can't give him any more than a 5. And that's what I'm going to do, is give him a 5. The fans gave him a 5 as well. Yuki Tsunoda started the race in 12th, finished 17th. I have gone for... Oh, God, this driver ratings is really, really fun, isn't it? It's a 4 out of 10 for Tsunoda. I'm really sorry. It's a 4 out of 10. I'm getting a bit sad now to see Tsunoda being in these positions, because I fully back the fact that he's doing Hadjar performances if he's in that racing ball.
And he was at the start of the year in those 2 races.
Exactly.
Wasn't he? So.
And now he's been promoted into a drive that he can't even get into Q3, and then had a poor race. Of course, he then got absolutely yeeted by Gasly as well, which can't have helped. But yeah, it just, again, a kind of underwhelming weekend from Tsunoda. So yeah, that's why I've gone for a 4, because his teammate is, of course, right up there once again.
Yeah, I've gone for a 4 as well for Yuki Tsunoda. Disappointing weekend again. All came undone really in qualifying, where he missed out on making Q3. It's one of his better tracks, but we know he's struggling for confidence in that Red Bull. Drivers will never want to admit it, but imagine what he's good around Monaco, and probably looking at that RB right now, going, I reckon I could have
Take me back.
could have been about sixth in that race, but alas not. And of course, he was another one that the result is more just him staying out and hoping for the best. The drivers that were stuck in that train and then had nothing to do and then pitted at the end. They were just kind of praying for like a red flag or something to save them by that point when it was so late.
Okay, so the fans gave Yuki Tsunoda a 4 as well. Max Verstappen started the race in 4th, finished 4th.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Max Verstappen. It's one of those weekends where I'm not surprised that he's kind of where he is. He's not over-delivered with his car like we've seen in previous Grand Prix. It was always going to be a struggle to beat the McLarens around here in a car kind of unsuited to this track, it feels like. Of course, it's the norm now, and it's barely even worth mentioning that long way ahead of your teammate. But how much do you take that into account anymore because of how it's gone in the last few years? But yeah, he was basically praying for that red flag for him in the hope that it would have allowed him to win the race. So he had nothing to lose. Thankfully, he could have fallen in that gap. The only kind of real positive for him was he ended up, ahead of Hamilton, mainly due to Hamilton's penalty, which obviously helped him get into that 4th spot, because I think the Red Bull was slower than the McLaren and the Ferraris this weekend.
I have gone for an 8 out of 10 as well for Max Verstappen. It was a pretty good weekend for Max, all considering. I know that you came into it, Tommy, being like, be lucky to finish top 10. Yeah, Red Bull are washed. They're finished.
But thankfully, Liam Lawson blocked the entire field, so you were fine.
Exactly. Max tried everything he could. I like the strategic roll of the dice to stay out right till the end. Perhaps there's a red flag, that sort of stuff. They did everything they could to try and get a better result, but realistically, 4th in quali was about as good as he could get. So, yeah, it's an 8 out of 10. The fans gave him an 8 as well. Lewis Hamilton started the race in 7th, finished 5th. This one is quite hard. Very hard.
Yes, very difficult.
Look, I'm going to go straight out with it. It's a 6 out of 10 for Lewis Hamilton. He was penalised for 3 positions for impeding qualifying. I don't put any fault to him for that. I really don't, because it was a team comms error, and then he has a difficult opening phase of the race, sort of first 15 laps or something. He lost, I think, 12 seconds in comparison to Leclerc's race time then. But the reason I've gone for a 6 is that he was slow. Like, he was really slow in clean air. And when you think that Lando was holding back and Hamilton came out on fresh tyres, and he kind of had just the whole of Monaco to himself after that initial difficult phase. And he was left mystified after the race as well. And Natalie Pinkham asked, can you explain that 45-second gap between you and those at the front? And he went, nope. And was really short with his answers. So I don't think I can give him a 7 or above, because he was behind Charles in qualifying, and then the race was even worse.
I've gone for a 6 out of 10. I totally agree. I think on paper, you look at a P5 and go, oh yeah, well, 7 surely, or something around that. I think a 7 is incredibly generous for someone that's finished 50 seconds behind their teammate. And
not due to the traffic.
Yeah, exactly. So the penalty, of course, not his fault. Did have a tough weekend though. Crashed in FP3. He was 0.3 off Leclerc in qualifying, which of course is a big gap compared to teammates. I can't give him a 7 for being 50 seconds behind. Absolutely no way. So still good points for the team and stuff, but I think it's one to forget for Hamilton personally.
Absolutely. The fans gave him a 7. Charles Leclerc started the race in 2nd, finished 2nd.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10 for Charles Leclerc. It is... Maybe he's a little bit of a victim of his own brilliance at Monaco here, because P2 is still a fantastic result. And and like I say, maybe it's a victim of how good he is at Monaco. That not that you expect him to win, but I think he could have won the race had he done a little bit better in qualifying. He still gave it everything, and we know how good the McLarens are. But it's not enough for a 10 for me, but it's still an exceptional performance.
I have gone for a 10 because the guy has literally taken it to the McLarens, and had he won, obviously it's a 10 as well, and he was so close to the win, but it's Monaco and you can't get through, and Lando had obviously quite a bit in the locker as well at the end, which he showed. But the fact that Ferrari, you look at where they were in the last few races, nowhere near McLaren, and I have to take that into account as well, not the fact of, he won last year. So yes, I am going to fanboy for this one. Sometimes, I am a little bit critical because I want to see more from the Ferrari drivers, but at this, I can't really downgrade him. So I am going to lock in a 10 out of 10 for Charles Leclerc. The fans gave him a 9. Whatever. Oscar Piastri started the race in third, finished third. I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Oscar Piastri for this weekend. Missing out in qualifying, and that was really the big drawback for Oscar. The fact that he obviously got out-qualified by a Ferrari as well meant that he was even slightly more on the back foot because he couldn't do something a little bit cheeky against Norris. Would have been interesting to see Norris versus Piastri in that scenario, whether Piastri could have performed some kind of overcut with the McLaren that I still believe was the fastest package around here. But it's still a podium for the championship leader. And it's just kind of an 8 performance. It just is. So there you go, lock it in.
Yeah, absolutely. I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Oscar Piastri. It is an 8 out of 10 performance written all over it, really. He is... You look at what his teammates done, we'll get on to him, but really good from Lando. And Oscar just wasn't quite there. Of course, exceptionally close in qualifying. So some might say, it's a bit harsh because it's the tiniest margin. But his teammate showed that could have been on pole and he could have won the race had it gone your way, and it just didn't for Oscar. And maybe a little bit of a scruffy weekend also as well. Like had a few moments, kind of tapping the barrier a few times and things. And
that's Monaco, baby. Come on.
It is Monaco, and I'm not downgrading him for that. It's just an observation that the first time we've kind of since Australia really seen that Oscar's not been on the level that Lando has. Oscar's been the one that's been delivering normally, and this is kind of what we saw in Monaco. But still a decent performance, still leads the championship, of course, but it's an 8, definitely.
Yeah, I think 8 is very fair, and the fans agree because they went for an 8 as well. Lando Norris started the race in first, finished first. What could it be, Tommy? Drum roll, please.
It is a 10 out of 10 for Lando, of course. It has to be. Sensational performance in qualifying, an incredible lap, and then it was, I wouldn't say, kind of was plain sailing because he just delivered a spot on race, just made it into turn 1 first, led away, didn't kind of get under pressure of when Max was kind of holding him up a little bit and getting his own head or anything like that. Just withheld the pressure. I know it's basically impossible to overtake at Monaco, but it's still a 10 because it's qualifying was sensational, and what a place to do it as well. Lando has been a bit disappointing in the last few races, but he's now only 3 points behind after that, and this was the kind of weekend where it's kind of the Lando that we kind of knew before, that he has got pace, and he's made the odd mistake in qualifying, and of course you do that here, you could be way down the order, but instead he puts in an absolutely incredible qualifying lap. You watch the onboard of it, it is so good to watch, and to put that kind of gap, I know it's only a 10th, but we don't see that in Formula 1 really now because it is so close. It was a superb lap, and that's what won in the race. And good to see Lando back at the top because we want this title fight. It's looking very tasty at the top.
So for Lando, I have gone for obviously a 10 out of 10. It was perfection. Pole, the win, managed it just like you need to do at Monaco. How can you downgrade him? You can't. That he He had a lot of pressure on him. Didn't make it the easiest in lap 1, turn 1, did he? With that very large lock-up, and you, for a split second, went, uh-oh, please slow the car down. But he did. He managed it, and yeah, that was the only very small, tiny, minute thing where you go, oh, that was a bit of a mistake. But that was it. Lando was brilliant this weekend, and he's won Monaco, and he's right back in the championship hunt, and people can now start to be like, oh, okay, we have got a championship fight, because Oscar had the momentum, obviously, with those wins, and Lando had been clawing a little bit of points here and there, and this is a big statement, I'd say, for Lando as we head to Spain. Could we see a championship lead change? We will see. The fans gave him a 10 as well. So that is it. Who is our P1? Who was the most perfect of them all? Lando. It's going to be Lando. Yeah. I don't really need to explain why. I think it was a brilliant bounce back to the form that we know he can produce, and it's such an important weekend. Pressure on his shoulders, and he delivered perfectly.
I'll be honest, I was going to basically do the opposite of what you're saying, because I find it really difficult to choose between Lando and Isack Hadjar. They were both really, really good for very different reasons. Hadjar, obviously a rookie, has done absolutely brilliantly, and I think Lando, because he really needed that performance, and he's been under a lot of pressure. So just to be different and for a bit of fun, I'll go for Isack Hadjar, because it's equally as good as Lando this weekend, and yeah, what an impressive rookie he's been.
He's been amazing. There you go. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this driver ratings. We will see you literally next week for the next driver ratings episode, because it's the Spanish Grand Prix.
This week, technically.
Yeah. Well, no. the rating.
Oh, sorry. Next driver rating. Yeah, of course.
Come on, bro.
I see what you mean.
I thought you meant
see them. I was like, I hope we're doing predictions.
Tommy's hosting the next driver ratings episode by the looks of things. Come on. Right. So yeah, we'll see you very soon. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.
Bye.